Hey, everybody. Welcome into the back room. I'm Andy Ostroy.
They're not fools. They're very smart, actually, in a certain way. And they're great negotiators. I say they're lousy fighters, but they're great negotiators. And they are begging to work out a deal. I don't know if we'll be able to do that. I don't know if we're willing to do that. They should have done that 4 weeks ago. They should have done it 2 years ago.
Well, that was Donald Trump talking about Iran. We're going to talk about that in a little while. We also have S.E. Cupp back with us. We'll chat with S.E. in a little bit. But first, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you listening, and we'd love to hear your comments. So email us at backroomandy@gmail.com and or post on our social media, and we'll read some feedback next time. And if you like the podcast, please rate and review and follow or subscribe, and you'll be notified every time we post a new episode. So here's a little feedback we received about my chat with legendary rocker Graham Nash. Janet Alt writes, my jaw dropped when I saw who your guest was this week. What a wonderful break from the fuckery going on in our world. I just know that someday you'll score either Paul or Ringo, or both. Me too, Janet. Richard Palazzo writes, this is so awesome. One of my all-time favorite artists and person. Heather Tobin just simply writes, so cool. And it was. I got to say, it was really cool. I mean, there are people I've said to in the last couple of weeks, like, hey, I've got Graham Nash coming on the podcast. And they're like, who? And I'm like, oh, please, don't do that. You don't know who Graham Nash is. And then one person, I said, Our House? And they go, was he in Madness? I'm like, oh, are you kidding me?
How old were these people?
Not that young. They were old enough to know the difference between Crosby, Stills, Nash and Madness. Our house in the middle of the... Yeah, no. That's not Graham Nash. It was a big thrill. He's a really cool guy. And we if you guys haven't heard the episode yet, check it out. Because if you're a classic rock fan and you love Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, the 60s, Laurel Canyon, all that stuff. We had some great stories. And the conversation was really interesting. So before we get into our big things, we're back. The band is back. Speaking of bands, the band is, what do we call this band? Ostroy, Hamoud, and Rosenberg. This was before.
It rolls off the tongue.
It does. It does. This was before Neil Young joined us. Okay, so it's literally, I think, the first time in almost 2 months that we've been in the same room.
True.
I have a new ritual that I do every winter. I get on a plane and I escape to Santa Monica, California, because I'm an old Jew and I can't take the cold anymore. So, sorry. I mean, I just can't. February, rough month in New York. So, did some episodes from there, took some time off to hang out with family. And then when I got back, unfortunately, I had to go into hospice with my daughter, who she and I were sitting with her grandmother, who finally passed last Friday after a really tough battle trying to hang on. So that's been pretty sad. So the last 7 weeks or so it's been a little bit, I was just telling Jen that I'm a creature of habit. I love routine, and it's kind of good to be back in the saddle again. It's good to be back in the saddle with my band. How are you, Paul?
Well, I thought, if you're going to be away for a while, at least you chose a time where nothing happened while you were gone.
No, and that's the other thing. I go away and like the whole fucking world is in chaos now. It's like I'm standing on a beach. I'm like, can't I just stand on a beach and enjoy what's in front of me? It was like 85 a bunch of days, and it's the ocean, and it's like, why do we have to go through this craziness? But here we are, and we are in a war. It's not an excursion, as Donald Trump likes to say it is. He actually means incursion, but that's a whole other podcast episode, how Donald Trump mangles the English language. It is a war. It's an illegal, unconstitutional war because he's neither sought congressional approval or UN Security Council authorization. And it's now going on over a month with no end in sight. Has no justification in the first place. There's no strategy. There was no plan. There's no exit strategy. There's like, what happens when this is over? Who's running Iran? I think it was Caitlin Collins or somebody asked him recently, who's going to run Iran? And he's like, me. Me and maybe some other Ayatollah. So that it was going to be like two Ayatollahs, a dual Ayatollah. I mean, it is insanity. We're living in the craziest of fucking times. I'm 66 years old. I've seen some crazy shit in my life. This is fucking crazy. We're living in crazy town. And what's most infuriating is that this war is an Epstein distraction. That's all it is. It's wag the dog. Oh, I'm in trouble with Epstein. We're getting hit about the files. This one's testifying. Bondi's got to... Let's just start a war. Let's start a war and distract everybody. And then what he's doing is he constantly moves his deadlines. He makes these big threats, right? We see what he did a weekend ago. And how many times? 3 times already he's moved the deadline. But the taco trade on Wall Street's not working because the markets, I just checked before, the markets are tanking again today. So they're like, oh, a new 10-day pause? Fuck you. We're done. Wall Street is literally saying, fuck you. We're done. So he's run out of options to like puppeteer the economy. Like, ooh, I go to war, the market crashes. But then I say, ooh, it's going well, and it goes up. But then Iran says it's not going well, and what are you talking about? We don't have any discussions taking place. The market crashes again, and then he does something else. Oh, we won. We're almost winning. We don't need the strait. You better open the strait. It's like being on a diplomatic military roller coaster. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no clue what's 5 minutes in front of him with this war.
Because he doesn't care. There is no plan. And that's not the point.
What are his options? Because he's running out of options. He doesn't seem to have an off-ramp. Iran gets to say what they're going to do, right? Trump is only one part of this war. Then there's Israel. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard even admitted that Israel and the United States are not aligned in terms of the goals for this war. That's extremely problematic. We know that this war, for the most part, is being perpetrated by 2 sociopaths who are each in their own way trying to duck prosecution or the law. Netanyahu has not been shy in saying, like, you should give me a pardon because I shouldn't have to worry about all this crap during wartime. So it's like, let's create a war so that I can then use the war to demand a pardon from the president. And then, of course, the Epstein distraction here at home. So these 2 are not looking out for what's in the best interest of their countries, of their people. They don't care. Netanyahu doesn't care about Israel the way he should. Trump doesn't care about America or Americans.
And let's not forget about the Saudis.
Oh, and then you got the Saudis behind the scenes, like the Wizard of Oz pulling the strings behind the curtain, promising all these amazing deals and relationships with Trump. And then boy wonder Jared Kushner, who, by the way, was supposed to have brought peace to the Middle East years ago, right? So I don't even know how this war is taking place. But like, he's one of the interlocutors who are trying to bring an end to this war. At the same time, he's lining his pockets with billions of dollars of Saudi money. I mean, the grifting is out of control, out in the open, unprecedented. Just think of what used to kill political careers. Think about what used to get people impeached. Think about what used to get people indicted. Now it's like, to a certain segment of our population, nothing is bad anymore. And we're going to get into a lot of this with S.E. Cupp in a moment, but we're in a very precarious place in our country right now.
Yeah, the war is becoming a big grift. You see on Kelshi and Polymarket, they're bets, and you see that what's happening with the futures market, with equities, people are just making millions of dollars because they have inside information. It's pretty clear from everything we've seen. And, I don't think we've had a war before that had that kind of grifting.
Well, we typically only go to war when there's a clear mission. And this is just completely bonkers on any conceivable level. You have a president who for almost 5 weeks now, from day one, it said mission accomplished. We've won. We have decimated their entire military. Everything's gone. They are capitulating. They're on their knees. Let's replay that first clip.
They're not fools. They're very smart, actually, in a certain way. And they're great negotiators. I say they're lousy fighters, but they're great negotiators. And they are begging to work out a deal. I don't know if we'll be able to do that. I don't know if we're willing to do that. They should have done that 4 weeks ago. They should have done it 2 years ago.
So it's important to just listen to what he said. They're begging to do a deal. Why would we need them to beg to do a deal if we've already won? If they have nothing left? It's over. He keeps saying it's over. So stop bombing. Stop sending more troops, right? We're sending an additional 5,000 Marines, 1,000 Army paratroopers. There's talk that there's going to be 10,000 more troops going. That doesn't sound like something's over. And you know what? If something's over, if you've completely obliterated again, because remember, we obliterated them once before, last June, allegedly. If you've obliterated their military, why are we threatening them to open the Strait of Hormuz? Just open it, right? Why is the greatest military in the world being held hostage by a country apparently with no military? Just ask yourself that one simple question, because it makes no sense. Let's play this second clip.
They now have a chance to make a deal, but that's up to them. And they'll tell you, we're not negotiating. We will not negotiate. Of course they're negotiating. They've been obliterated. Who wouldn't negotiate? They are begging to make a deal. We'll see if we can make the right deal. And if they make the right deal, then the strait will open up. Hormuz Strait will open up. I read a story today that I'm desperate to make a deal. If I was desperate, he'd be the first to know. Let's get the hell out of there. I'm the opposite of desperate. Mm-hmm. I don't care. I want to know. In fact, we have other targets we want to hit before we leave.
So, first of all, with Trump, it's always either confession or projection. So he is definitely desperate. Everybody knows it. And there's leaks coming out of the White House to reporters that people in the administration are saying he's desperate. He's desperately trying to find an off-ramp because this has been a disaster. It's not working. It's crashing the economy, crashing the markets, crashing the oil markets, spiking gas prices, and doing the exact opposite of what he promised his base he would do, which is why Republicans are just totally fucked as they head towards the midterms. But just, again, from a logical standpoint, think of what he said about negotiating. They're begging to negotiate. They're begging to... Then end it. Like, did we win or not? Is their military obliterated or not? So then what are you negotiating, right? Why do you need to negotiate anything if you've won and you've knocked out their entire military and changed their regime, which is a whole other issue? It's like, okay, let's take a 86-year-old Ayatollah who hates America and replace him with a much healthier one in his 50s who now is even more radical and hateful of America than his dad, because his dad, his wife, his mother, his sister, and his dog have been killed by the United States. So are we safer in the Middle East? Has anything really changed in Iran? Right? Just like has anything changed in Venezuela? Just because we took Maduro out? So where this goes, who the hell knows? But the one thing we can count on, the one thing, although I'm not sure what the repercussions would be, is that this man-child could just, on a whim, at 2 o'clock this afternoon, say, we've won, we're declaring victory, and it's over. No more bombs, no more this, no more negotiation, nothing. Right? It's all bullshit. So with bullshit, you can end it in a heartbeat.
That's very true. And just going back to Iran for a minute, nothing radicalizes people more than capricious actions of the United States.
Yeah.
Nothing in the Middle East.
What about the Iranian people who he said, like, this is your opportunity, rise up, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't give a shit about the Iranian people. He's leaving that country a fucking mess. The last thing I want to mention is Trump. Play this clip.
Tell me about mail-in ballots going. You mean I used a mail-in ballot? You probably said, yeah, I did. You know what? Because I'm president of the United States, and because of the fact that I'm president of the United States, I did a mail-in ballot for elections that took place in Florida, because I felt I should be here instead of being in the beautiful sunshine. That's right. And I decided that I was going to vote by mail-in ballot because I couldn't be there, because I had a lot of different things. But, you know, we have exceptions for mail-in ballots. You do know that, right? So if you're away, we have an exception. If you're in the military, we have an exception. If you're on a business trip, we have an exception. If you're disabled, we have an exception. And if you're ill, if you're not feeling good, we have. So I was away, mostly in Washington, D.C., so I used a mail-in ballot. But I appreciate the question, because I know it was so well-meaning.
Yeah, it actually was well-meaning, because when you for how many fucking years demanding Congress and the courts to ban mail-in voting because it's allegedly fraudulent. And then you cast a ballot through the mail. Yeah, that's actually a pretty legit question. Forget the fact that he lied. He's like, I wasn't here. And she's like, no, you were actually in Palm Beach, 15 minutes away from polling places for 2 weekends in a row. He could have voted in person. He chose to do what he's furiously working to stop other Americans from doing. This has nothing to do with how fraudulent or not mail-in voting is. It's an effort to steal an election is what it is. But, that excuse, that explanation, what kind of nonsense was that?
Well, also, he gave a list of exceptions which apply to millions of Americans. They're not able to get to the voting booth for the reasons he just named.
Yeah, that's the reason we have mail-in voting. You just literally named all the reasons why we have mail-in voting. What you left out was, I just didn't feel like going. Like, that was the only reason.
Which is okay, too.
Which is okay, too, and lawful. I just hope Democrats have their shit together with lawyers and poll watchers and everyone else who is going to need to make sure that this election is secure and safe. All right, let's get to our winners and losers.
My winner, Anthropic. Judge Lin blocked the Pentagon order that designated Anthropic as a supply chain risk, which prohibits the Trump administration from taking retaliatory steps against the company for refusing to violate its own moral red lines. My second winner is Democrat Emily Gregory for flipping a Florida state House seat in the Mar-a-Lago district. Woohoo!
I'm going to agree with both of your winners. My winner was Emily Gregory because she's a first-time candidate, small business owner, and she is now Donald Trump's state representative, a district that he carried by 11 points. My loser is Pete Hegseth's Pentagon. Bellingcat reported this morning that the U.S. is airdropping landmines in southern Iran, and this is after Hegseth and Trump have repeatedly talked about committing war crimes.
My loser is newly minted Secretary of Homeland Security Mark Wayne Mullen, who now gets to sit in Trump's monthly cabinet meetings and lick his ass like the rest of the pathetic losers. My winner, every American's health, as several critical developments over the past several weeks, including a major court ruling, have put RFK Jr.'s insane vaccine agenda at risk. And that gets us to the weekly rant. So Donald Trump plays with our troops like they are nothing but toy soldiers. He deploys them all over the world for no legitimate, justifiable reason other than to satisfy his insatiable need to prove he's a tough guy, not the lifelong coward he is. But in truth, he could not give a rat's ass about our brave, dedicated servicemen and women. Ever since he infamously descended that escalator in 2015 to announce his presidential campaign, he's demonstrated a general disdain for the military. He's disrespected and denigrated the generals, war heroes, Gold Star families, and rank-and-file soldiers, who he's called suckers and losers. Of our fallen heroes, he's unconscionably said, I don't get it. What was in it for them? Of the late Senator John McCain, Trump said in 2015, he's not a war hero. He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured. This coming from a 5 deferment, bone spurs inflicted draft dodger who hid behind his rich daddy's coattails when real men like McCain fought in Vietnam. These are not the words and actions of someone who respects the military. They belong to someone who fails to grasp the gravity and deadliness of war, who has a depraved disregard for human life. You know, our patriotic soldiers deserve our appreciation, our gratitude, and our honoring of the promise we've made them that we will never send them into battle, risking life and limb, unless it was absolutely necessary, unless all diplomacy has failed, unless every other option has run its course, unless it was an absolute last resort. But Donald Trump deploys them as a first resort, a table setter. He uses, abuses, and exploits them as pawns to bully and threaten other nations into capitulation before he's fully explored all other options, which could avoid the kind of bloodshed, the kind of death and destruction we're now seeing in Iran. He's arrogantly been bragging that we've won this illegal, unauthorized war, which has so far killed 13 American soldiers. Yet he's sending even more troops to the region in what many fear will soon escalate into another forever ground war. Are we really going down that road again? Despite his promises? You'd think MAGA would be livid over the lie, especially as it's caused oil and gas prices to skyrocket, while inflation overall, including grocery prices, which is the subject of another major campaign promise, is rising as well. The last thing I want to say is directed to politicians, pundits, and the media, who continually refer to our courageous soldiers as, quote, boots on the ground. They're not boots. That's like an inanimate object. They're human beings. They're our sons and daughters who are being shipped abroad to potentially never return home. And for what? For nothing. Nothing but Trump's ego trip, which is fueled by his shriveled micro-dick faux masculinity. And it sickens me. Our young men and women who suit up to defend and protect us deserve better. All right, let's get to S.E. Cupp. She is a nationally syndicated columnist, author, podcaster, and TV commentator. She hosts Off the Cupp, a podcast which focuses on mental health and which features interviews with celebrities and newsmakers. She also discusses politics on Off the Cupp. She is a columnist at the New York Daily News and has also been published in the New York Times, Vanity Fair, Rolling Stone, Washington Post, and many other publications. She is currently a political commentator at CNN, and she regularly interviews authors for C-SPAN's BookTV, and is a regular guest on The View, Real Time with Bill Maher, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Watch What Happens Live, and others. S.E. has also consulted on Aaron Sorkin's The Newsroom and AppleTV's The Morning Show, and has made cameos on House of Cards and SNL. As an author, S.E. has written 2 books, Losing Our Religion, The Liberal Media's Attack on Christianity, and co-authored Why You're Wrong About the Right. She is on the advisory board of Cornell University's Institute of Politics and Global Affairs and inara.org, and is a No Kid Hungry ambassador. S.E., welcome back into the back room.
Thanks for having me back in the back room.
It's always so nice to see you and our friend Al Gore on the wall.
And Al
there.
Gore.
Yeah, I tell you. I miss
For
him.
people who don't watch this, don't start rumors, Andy, that I'm here with Al Gore.
Or that you somehow are infatuated with Al Gore because you have this giant poster of a leaping Al Gore on your wall.
It is giant. I mean, it is.
Folks,
6
we're not
foot
joking.
by
It is
4 feet.
Yeah, it's probably 4 feet by 5 feet. It takes up your entire wall, and it's Al Gore and his family, and they're playing like touch football or something, and.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's a great photo, and I do remember you telling me why you have a giant photo of Al Gore on the wall with his family playing touch football, but maybe you can give us the abbreviated, updated version again, because I don't remember.
Sure. The quick version is, this is a picture of Al Gore. It's a couple days after the 2000 presidential election. As you know, we did not know who won, and his team told him, go outside, play touch football with your family. It'll make you look really confident. And
genuine.
And authentic. And all it did was get the press, because it was a press op, it was a photo op, to talk about how packaged and inauthentic he was, which was sort of the albatross on his entire campaign.
That's why he lost.
Yeah. So the second part of the story is that this was hanging up at the New York Times, where I worked for 8 years, because it's a Times photo. And when we left that building to go into the new building, we all got to take a photo. And so I took this one, and it hangs over my desk as a reminder that authenticity in politics and in life is really, really important.
I'm now thinking about what it must have been like to watch you walk from the Times building to whatever vehicle you got into with this giant thing under your arm, with people on the streets of Manhattan going, why is this woman carrying this giant photo?
I didn't walk it into a vehicle. I walked it home. I walked it home 20 blocks because it didn't fit in a vehicle. Yeah. So I walked it.
Didn't fit in a vehicle. That's how big it is, folks. It didn't fit in an SUV. Wow.
Well, I didn't have an SUV. Like, I just lived in the city. I had to take a cab or on the subway, and it did not fit. So I had to carry it about 20 blocks from then Times Square to where I was living in Midtown, carrying it like this down the street.
Was it covered or was Al exposed to the
Not
elements?
covered. It was not covered. He was exposed.
That's a great story on so many levels, and I'm glad we.
So it's a great New York story. It's a great politics story. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. I mean, look, there's nothing else going on in the world to talk about, so I'm glad we got a chance to devote.
Good filler. Yeah.
So before we get into all the craziness out there, tell me about this Pee-Poo Pod. You and Adam Kinzinger.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
It's hilarious. So Adam and I have been friends for a really long time. We were two kids running around the Hill at the same time. He a lawmaker, me a journalist, and we worked on Syria together. That was like our common ground. And now we're two married kids with kids of our own. And
I think you need to clarify that you and Adam are not married with two children.
We're not to each other. We're married to other
I think
people.
It's important.
Clarification. Yep. He has a lovely wife who used to work in the Pence, for Pence, and I have a lovely husband who used to work on the Hill as well. Anyway, so we're friends, but we wanted to do something together. And so we did this like pilot podcast, and it just dropped yesterday. You can go see it on Adam's YouTube or Adam's Substack or my Substack. That's where it's living right now. And we haven't named it. So Adam sent me a calendar invite for this recording.
Uh-huh.
And in it, it said pee-poo. Record pee-poo at 12 p.m. And so I asked him about it on the pod. I was like, before we start, like, why did I get a calendar invite that just said pee-poo recording? He's like, oh, when I don't know what to call something, I call it like fart or poop, or like pee or poop. He's such a dude. And I was like, okay, well, this pod is now called the Pee-Poo Pod until we find a new name. So it's incumbent
why would you find a new name?
It might be the perfect name.
It is the perfect. First of all, it makes everybody ask, what is the significance? Why pee-poo? And there's no other podcast.
And it's fun to say.
And it is really fun to say.
It's fun to say. It might just be the Pee-Poo Pod.
Pee-Poo Pod. That's my vote.
No, I'm going to tell Adam because I don't think he thought I could see his calendar invite. Like what he had named this, I don't think he knew I could see that because he was like, wait, you saw that? Like, yep. He's like, oh God, I wonder what other calendar invites I've sent to like.
Oh my God, that people saw.
Like heads of state, like come on the fart pod, right?
Uh-huh. I thought when I saw it, I thought it was like some kind of slangy for people, like people. The people.
Oh, pee-poo. Oh, that's great.
Which may be a reason for you to keep it. Like you can.
Yeah.
I think we're onto something here.
You said that about. So when when I was first on your pod, you were like, tell me your Twitter bio. It says religion, and then you have Jack.
Right.
And you're like, what does that mean? Is that Jack shit? Is that Jack Dorsey for Twitter? And I was like, nope, that's my son, Jack. He's my religion. And you're like, oh, whoops. And then you were like, maybe I love the ambiguity of that. Because it's like, what does that mean?
Right.
So similarly, maybe the Pee-Poo Pod.
We have way too many cliches in this world and too many things that like people use no creativity to come up with. So I'm Pee-Poo Pod. That's my vote.
Amazing. Great.
So
Love it.
What is making you crazy right now? What is making you worried right now? What is the biggest thing that when you sit down maybe with a glass of wine at the end of the day or you just go, my God, what the hell happened today?
I'll tell you, and it's probably not the thing that you expect, or maybe it is, but I feel like we as an electorate, we're very mad at all the right things. And we're mad at Trump, we're mad at Republicans, we're mad at Congress, we're mad at all the right things. And there's a lot to be mad about. But I think the thing that maybe Americans have gotten a little complacent about is just general dysfunction and having lawmakers who don't want to govern. Like we've gotten okay with that. And in the story of the airports and TSA and DHS, where, I live at airports, I'm in airports all the time, and I've definitely felt the strain of this, as have the 50,000 TSA agents who haven't been paid in a month. But I was standing in line at the Austin airport 2 weeks ago for 4 hours, and a guy behind me was like, what are these lines about? And I said, oh, the shutdown. He was like, we're in another shutdown. We're in the third government shutdown in 6 months. People don't even know that we're in another shutdown because we just sort of like tuned this noise out. And now we just expect, right. The government might not be functioning today. Well, you know what that reminds me of? France. We're France now. When you go to France, they have this history and culture of striking, right?
Yes.
Labor strikes.
I got a striking
constantly.
story for you when you're done.
Oh, perfect. Like, I'm sure you've gone to the Le Metro one day and it's suddenly closed and you're like, what the fuck? Or you go to the Louvre and it's closed, or the restaurant, or the school. I mean, it's a constant thing in France. They love it, right?
Yes.
They think it's really noble, but how dysfunctional. And we would always turn our noses up at France, being like, well, we're too important to be that dysfunctional.
They're
We
so
could never
crazy.
function like that.
What is up with these people in their strikes?
Right.
We would never do that here.
Like, we're above this.
Mhm.
And they have an app in France. They have several apps in France where you go, if you live there, to find out what is closed today.
Right.
What is inoperable today? Well, I feel like we need an app in this country to find out what part of my government's open today. What lawmakers are showing up for votes today? What lawmakers are skirting the law today that you have to follow instead? Like, that is how used to dysfunction I think we've gotten. And we're all mad at our lawmakers for being on this far right side of this or this far left side of that. And we're talking about all these issues. That seems too high-minded. Can we just, to get the basics done, can we strip everything away and just demand our lawmakers solve our problems and keep the government running? Like, I just feel like we've gotten away from kind of the important part of this. And we're letting our country devolve to a place where we can't even count on our airport to be open when we're about to go on a trip. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, what you're speaking to, I'll even bump it up a notch and say that we've just become a country where half of us have lost our sanity. Nothing makes
That
sense
too.
anymore because nothing's real. Like,
Yeah.
a month ago, I was like, oh man, MAGA is going to be pissed off. What happened to no more wars?
About the
and
war? Yeah.
America first, and gas and oil and grocery prices, inflation, everything's rising. What is MAGA saying today?
Nothing.
The war in Iran is America first.
Yep.
Really?
Of course.
It really is. That's America first. And if I got to pay $1 more in gas, then so be
I'll
it.
do it. Right.
And Donald Trump
I
is the
know.
greatest friend. This is the problem, because that half of the country has normalized everything that used to be crazy and
Yeah.
career killing. And shutdowns.
Yeah.
Remember, and it's not that long ago, like a couple of years ago, like if there was going to be a shutdown, oh my God, this was the worst thing in the world. Our credit
Right.
rating, the world, how the world views us, we're no
Right.
longer going to be a safe haven, blah, blah, blah. And now it's like nothing. It's because nothing. I mean, you got a president who says, oh, Robert Mueller died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. Okay. It's like, if we're okay with that, if half of the country's okay with that, why would they give a shit about shutdowns?
No, and to raise that point again, like, it's so infuriating to people like us, rational people is all I mean by that. To think, well, okay, Trump made a promise. His voters surely will care about it. And to see them not, and to see them just abandon the things they insisted were super important to them is infuriating. How do you deal with that? What do you do about that hypocrisy, the double standard, the lying, the gaslight? What do you do about that? You can't pin these voters down to anything because they'll do whatever Trump says. So in under a year, he can flip-flop
Sure.
on a signature issue.
On multiple
Nothing.
signature issues.
I know.
We deal with it by voting. I mean, folks, if you're listening to this podcast, is very simple. Traditionally, 55, maybe somewhere near 60% of Democrats vote. Imagine what we could do. Imagine what we could have if 75% of us vote, if 80%.
In a midterm.
And
that would
like
be
other
huge.
countries in the Western world. So just vote,
Yep.
and we can have everything we want. But
Yep.
there's apathy in this country. There's indifference. There's, my
There's
vote doesn't matter.
exhaustion.
There's exhaustion.
Yeah.
It is a scary place because nothing. I wake up every day and say, can Donald Trump find a new bottom? No, right?
Right.
Because he can't. There's no way. But somehow that dude manages to
He
find
does.
a new bottom. And nothing matters. And look, give him credit. He said 11 years ago, I could shoot someone in the Fifth
Yeah.
Avenue and not lose support. And gosh darn it, as Al Franken used to say, he's
Right.
right. Nothing he does. I used to think maybe if he said out loud somewhere publicly the N-word, that might kill him.
No.
I'm not even
No
convinced
way.
of that anymore because they'll justify
No
it.
way.
They'll say he's saying
Totally.
it like Snoop Dogg says it. It's not racist.
Oh,
It's
well,
blah, blah,
100%.
blah. And so that's half of the country. Thankfully, I think some of that half has started to really get upset. Okay,
You
so
do?
the core MAGA people,
Yeah.
whether they're 20% of the country, 30%, I'm not sure. But Trump has lost independence. He is
Yeah.
starting to lose some of his moderate Republican base, just a little bit, but
Yeah.
points.
He's losing some young men.
Yeah, he's
That's
lost the young
huge.
man. He's
Mhm.
lost Hispanics. I mean, that was a quick
Yep.
love affair. That
Yep.
romance is over. So,
And that was the coalition that
yes,
that got him back in the White House.
yeah,
Those folks.
and it's those folks who can kick Republicans out
Yeah.
of Congress. So,
Yeah.
but the thing
Yeah.
you said about France is so true. The first
Oh,
time
tell me your strike story.
First time I ever go to Paris. We get up early in the morning. We're like, it's Paris. We're going to go. We got a whole list of places we're going to go, and the fucking metro is completely shut. Like we get there, and I think the minute we got to one of the stations, the gate came down, like literally as we were about to go in. And of course, neither of us spoke French, so we're like, what is going
Yes.
on? People are explaining, like, and I'm like, I don't speak French. Like, so somehow we found out a little while later that there was a shooting of like a token person, like this person who
Worked on the subway.
works
Yeah.
in the subway
Okay.
all day long. The whole thing was shut till literally like 6:00 until they announced that he actually died of a heart attack.
Oh.
And it wasn't a
Oh.
shooting. And like,
Okay.
oops, we are so sorry. Well, you're so sorry. You shut the whole fucking system down for an
Oh, but they
entire
love it.
day in one of the most major cities in the world.
Yeah.
And you didn't even know why.
But they
And I was
love,
like,
but they
I
love
don't-
it.
But I was like, that's on some level, that's kind of cool.
There's a set. Well, it is like there's a nobility to it. I don't agree with it, but like they
There
love
is.
this.
It was
It
a
is
passion
important.
among like the righteous
Oh.
indignation. And we're going
Totally.
to correct a wrong. And okay, so they got that one wrong, but they get a lot of things right,
And
They
there,
care.
there's a saying in France, "C'est le rêve," which just means it's the strike, and it's such a popular saying that they named one of the apps "C'est le rêve," that you would go on, and there's all kinds of jokes. Like there's a joke that you're at a restaurant, you look across the street, something is closed, you say to the waiter, what's going on over there, and he goes, oh, it's Thursday. Like it's a day like any other. Of course,
Right.
something's closed because this is what they do. And they're just used to operating in that kind of uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's the sign of like a functioning society. That's maybe works in France, but like, I don't think we should adopt that kind of dysfunction. And we have,
Well,
not
think
to beat a
that-
dead horse,
I
we've
think
just
that
allowed it.
I think that metro has left the station.
It's gone.
That is gone. Hello, dysfunction. Hello, chaos. Hello, war. I mean, there's no
Bonjour, la
stability
guerre,
anywhere.
right.
There's no stability in the oil markets. There's no stability in the bond markets. There's no stability in the stock markets. His
No, that's
Taco
right.
Boy's withdrawals of his deadlines don't matter anymore,
No.
And if you follow the trajectory of his decisions, okay, so last weekend he issued this big tough guy threat, 48 hours. 48 hours to open the Strait of Hormuz, or I will bomb the shit out of your power plants. The deadline was to expire Monday night. Monday morning, he wakes up, looks at the stock futures, sees that the market is going to tank, announces, we just had some great negotiations with Iran, which began late last night. And I'm like, late last night is now
Sunday night, right.
What did you discuss in like 4 hours overnight that now the war is almost over? So he says, 5-day pause. I'm pausing the deadline, 5 days, which was to expire tonight. Yesterday, the stock market literally crashes. 10 minutes after the market closes, what does Trump do? New 10-day pause.
Buys more time.
Buys more time. Now, what normally has happened is when he does this, is his gyrations. I think it's just all market manipulation. He's like, boys, go out and short the market. Boys, it's time to go out and cover. That's all he's doing.
Yeah.
But this time it's not working because 10 days more of this creates such uncertainty in the world, in Congress, on Main Street, in the oil markets.
Yep.
And I think he's now realizing, unless something turns around today and the market ends up, like he doesn't have that lever that he thought he had, which is now like the new, Iranian threats are the new tariffs, right? Remember, like, I'm going to pose a big tariff by Thursday. If you don't blah, 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 okay, I'm going to give you another 10 days to acquiesce to my demands, to capitulate. He lost that ability somewhat because of the Supreme Court. So now it's like this is his new toy to like threaten to bomb the shit out of power plants. And why would Iran ever capitulate? They're like, let him give a fucking deadline because he's only going to give us a new deadline.
And let him have a temper tantrum, right?
He's never going to bomb those power plants because he's a coward. Where are we, in your opinion? Where does this go?
Well, and that's the I think, very dangerous part of this, but it's inarguable. Listen, I've covered foreign policy for a really long time. I don't believe a word Iran says, right? I won't ever be caught trusting Iran's intelligence or anything they put out into public space. Nothing. But the problem is I don't trust Trump either.
Right.
And the shit that Trump is saying, to your point, is propaganda. It's leverage. He's saying something to get markets to do something or to get Iran to do something. He's not saying true things.
Right.
He's not saying things that he's actually going to do, maybe. It's propaganda. And he thinks it's working like the tariff threats kind of worked. And as you said, it's not working. So you can't trust what he's saying. I definitely don't trust what Pete Hegseth is saying. So we've got this vacuum of information and truth and fact around this war because, frankly, and I won't equate us with Iran, but we've got two unreliable witnesses to this event. We've got two unreliable actors who are talking
technically
a lot.
Three if you throw Bibi into the mix.
If you throw Bibi in, that's fine. But just dealing with the two is enough. And we just don't believe anything that's being put out there. And that's really tough for the American people. It's tough for markets. It's tough for our allies, everyone to know what's coming next. Now, Trump thinks that's a flex. He thinks that's power, being unpredictable. Really, it's because he doesn't know what's coming next. He can't tell anyone what's coming next. And he doesn't want to be held accountable for what comes next. So this works perfectly for him. He gets to say nonsense and nothing. Tell us nothing, reverse course 2 minutes later, and nothing happens. But the rest of the world is like, what? How do we respond to this? So listen, I think he's going to get bored eventually. I think he'll quit Iran. That might not mean that Iran quits us, right? Which is the
they
very
actually have
problem.
A say in this war.
Well, they do, and they've been preparing for a war of attrition for like 20 years. They're not going to just get bored and go home. So,
and they have the advantage of fighting an asymmetric war. Like, it's very Vietnamish in a way. Like, we're fighting a different kind of enemy, and it's a different kind of warfare.
It is, and Trump doesn't know that because he doesn't know anything about war, and I don't think he's listening. I just read a very disturbing headline the other day that said, I have it right here, Trump gets daily video war briefings of stuff blowing up. Okay. This is what he is being shown. This is according to NBC News. This is how he's being briefed in the White House, which you can totally see, right? Like, no one's coming in to the White House to brief Trump with, like, real information about assets, and we're moving this and then we're going to do that. They're just showing him videos of stuff blowing up. That's all he wants to see. It's insane. It's idiocracy.
This war was not just. There was no imminent threat from Iran to the United States.
According to our own intel.
Yes,
right.
Not even to our allies in the Middle East. There was no plan, no strategy, no exit strategy, no goal for what happens after we exit, other than Trump co-Ayatollahing, which was another preposterous statement that he made. And the fact that he has the attention span of a 5-year-old. So he hasn't planned for like a 6-month to a 12-month to an 18-month legit
No,
war.
this is an excursion.
Yeah,
this is a little
Which,
excursion.
by the way, you know the definition of excursion, right? It's a little trip that's basically for leisure. So he really means incursion, but nobody will tell him.
Yes.
But it's a war.
An excursion is what you do when your cruise ship gets to port, okay? That's what you go on an excursion.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. It's not a war. It's not about war.
So he wants instant gratification. Go into Venezuela, pull out Maduro, boom, everybody applauds. You're so great, sir. Give me a Nobel Peace Prize. These little things that take 1, 2, 3 days. He doesn't want to strategize about a war. So to your point, he has no fucking clue what he's doing. And those around him, Pete Hegseth, this guy is so freaking jacked up on God knows what.
Roided out.
So every time I see him on TV, to me, it's like all he's doing is giving Colin Jost new material. That's it.
Yes.
It's like you see it on TV with Hegseth, and then Saturday night you see it transferred to Colin Jost. So
yes,
and then during the whole thing, we won from day one. Day one, we won.
Well, this is the thing. It feels to me like Trump has a bucket list in his second term, and I knew this is how he was going to come into a second term. And the bucket list is like, depose a dictator, start a war, invade a country, right? Like, it's shit he thinks in his childlike mind leaders get to do, he wants to do them.
Strong,
right? But put a monument up to myself. Like, he wants to do those bucket list things, and he's not doing them for any reason, purpose. They don't make sense. It's just because he can. And that's what it feels like. What did we just do in Venezuela? Look, Maduro sucks. Venezuela's an unsafe place. But why? What did we do? The same people are running it now.
What's changed? For the people of Venezuela, what has changed in Venezuela?
Nothing. And he's more concerned with the statue they're going to erect there, right? I mean, it's nonsense. And I blame him, but he's a child and an idiot. What I really blame is the cabinet and the Congress. People who are enabling this stuff, who don't want to tell him, sir, this is illegal. Sir, this is unconstitutional. Sir, I'm not going to order my military to do this. Sir, no one's telling him this.
Because
Tulsi
they're
Gabbard made her whole career be
dwellers.
anti-war, and now she's defending this. They're all defending it.
Because
I blame them more.
They're all corrupt. They're all incompetent. They're all self-serving. And some of them are sociopaths like him. Others are God knows what. Like, when he first ran in 2015, he ran on draining the swamp. It's a nice expression, right? It was a good motto. The intention behind it, certainly not necessarily Trump's, but in general, but who would be against that? Let's drain the swamp. But what he really did was drain the swamp in this administration and put them in his cabinet. That's what we have. We have swamp dwellers. So how could we rely on any of these people? Any of them? I mean, if you just stop for a second and think about Bessent, Hegseth, Gabbard,
Bondi,
Patel, like Kennedy,
J.D. Vance.
Each one is worse than the other.
Yes, it's a clown car.
Lutnick.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're cartoon characters. It is like Idiocracy.
And they're court jesters too. They're just like
they are.
It's the emperor's new clothes. For him. It's whatever he says. It is vomitous, but it is also incredibly dangerous.
It is, and it's some of this stuff. Pam Bondi putting a Trump banner on the Department of Justice.
God.
Rick Grinnell putting Trump's name on the Kennedy Center. Now Trump's signature is going to be on the money. Like, this is so North Korea coded. Is that who we want to be?
Apparently.
That's where we're headed. And these people are like actively going there. They want to go there, to North Korea. The cabinet meetings feel like North Korea. Who is anyone going to stand up and be like, this is insane, you guys? Why are we doing this?
The only way they're different than the cabinet meetings in North Korea is that Kim Jong-un doesn't fall asleep during them.
Yeah. He can stay awake.
He could stay awake.
Yeah. That is the difference.
It is astounding how people have prostrated themselves, castrated themselves for this.
Emasculated themselves.
Yeah, sold their souls for this guy. You take someone like J.D. Vance. He has a record of being against these kinds of forever wars. Now that it's the greatest thing in the world. And Trump is putting him in charge of negotiating peace. Like, none of them have any competence or any authenticity or any credibility. Or principles or anything. They're just soulless. And so, getting back to the earlier point, we have this election coming up in November, which could change a lot, or it could change everything or something in between.
Yeah.
And again, all people need to do is vote. Now, it looks like, I don't like to get ahead of things. I try not to be too enthusiastic to the point of being hyperbolic. But how are you feeling about November? I mean, by all indications, it's going to be a loss for Republicans, at least in the House. The Senate is now firmly in play. Several states that, North Carolina, Maine, Texas, Ohio, Iowa. So that's a possibility. But it could likely be a tidal wave, a blue tidal wave. Because we look at all these special elections that we've had so far. Republicans have won none of them. We're flipping seats left and right. State houses.
In Mar-a-Lago.
Right, in the Florida State House. We just flipped a seat that covers the district that Mar-a-Lago is in. So these are barometers. But yet, you look at Mike Johnson, and it's like this guy is either in denial, or he's terrified.
Or knows something. Yeah.
Or both. Or just, he's done. He's just mentally done.
I am not prone to this kind of sort of definitive take. I think it's going to be a bloodbath for Republicans. And I say this.
Do you think that includes the Senate, or are you just talking about the House?
I think very likely the Senate. Mm-hmm. And I don't usually go there. I'm pretty Trump always finds a way. But I was talking to a Democrat who used to run the DCCC, Steve Israel, was Congressman Long Island.
He's been on. I think he's been on.
Yeah, he's wonderful. Mm-hmm. He runs the Politics Institute at Cornell, where I also do stuff. So he and I were chatting, and it was around the holidays. And I said, Steve, you know the midterm calendar math. When do people start making up their minds for the midterms? Is it like a couple weeks out, a couple months out? He said, no, it's the holidays before. I said, really? That's like 11 months out. He said, yeah, but this is why. People are spending money for the holidays. They're traveling for the holidays. They're really feeling like, are things going well in this country? Because it's all happening at one time, right? Do you have enough money for Christmas or Hanukkah presents? Do you have enough money to travel for the holidays? Are the airports functioning? Is life going okay? And everyone's home and everyone's talking about it. And so feelings about how the country kind of solidify at this time. Members are home in their districts at this time. They're hearing from their constituents at this time about it. And lawmakers know when they come back, they're not happy or things are going great. So Steve would always check in with his members right around the holidays, just after. And he'd get their pulse. And almost without fail, they'd be right in determining how the midterms were going to go based on what they were hearing over those holidays at home. And he went through multiple cycles of this. If you think back to what was happening over the holidays 2025 to 2026, it was a mess. It was, we had Venezuela, we were bombing drug boats, the Epstein files were getting buried like daily. We got news about how they were burying the Epstein files. Tariffs were wrecking the economy. Then we have 2 deaths in Minnesota. Like, this all happened in December. And then we start a war in January or February. Like insane. So if that's true, I have to believe that opinions solidified about where this country is. And you can look at current polls 3 months past the holidays that show most people think this war is going to make us less safe and it's going to tank our economy. Most people are really sour on the direction the country's going in. He is underwater on almost every single metric. All of this kind of sticks with people as they head into midterms. So obviously that's not a science, but to me, that made a lot of sense. And if that's true, I think we're looking at a really, really bad midterm year for Republicans.
Yeah. And here's the thing about Trump, and I've said this a million times, whenever people talk about, like, is there a Trump pivot coming? The one thing we can bank on with Trump is that things will only get worse, not better.
Yeah.
Because
That's
he
right.
is a sociopath. He is corrupt. He is self-serving.
He is bad at this.
He is
Yeah.
bad at, he's incompetent. I mean, it's that word doesn't even do justice. It's beyond incompetence.
We
So-
know he will say it's gotten better, but it will have gotten worse. Those are 2 things we can
That's
count
right.
on.
And so the things that you just reeled off, week by week, month by month, and here we are now in March, almost in April, and it's just, there's going to be something else in April. There'll be something in May. There's going to be
Worse.
something.
Yeah.
And so conventional wisdom says a president loses at least one, perhaps both houses of Congress in his first midterm election. It's really hard to imagine that
Good news.
isn't going to happen. However, Democrats sometimes, well, not lately, but they have a knack for snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Do you think that's going to happen this year? Or in looking back at all the special elections, all the flips, everything since like 18 months already, do you think they've fixed that problem?
All evidence points to yes right now, right? If I'm looking at the NatSec moms that won in New Jersey and Virginia, right? Spamberger and Mikey Sherrill, those were not radical candidates. Those were the correct candidates for those states and for the time. If I look at Tallarico, right? That was a good decision. Republicans were really hoping Jasmine Crockett won that primary. And Texans, whether they knew what was up or just preferred James Tallarico more, they really saved themselves in that Senate race. I'm not saying he's going to win, but they definitely wouldn't have won, I think, if Jasmine Crockett had won that primary. I don't even think that's controversial to say. It's just Texas. So I'm seeing evidence that Democrats are putting the right people up. Whatever version of that looks like for that state, they're putting the right people up. Miami mayor, this race down at Mar-a-Lago, like, they're putting in people who can win. And that person looks different. It's a Mamdani in New York and a Spamberger in Virginia. They're figuring out candidate quality and candidate selection really matters. And you have to find the right person for the moment. If they can repeat that all around the country and not get sucked into the special interests, not get sucked into the debates over far left or moderate, that's not what it's over. Find the person for the place, for the moment. Then they can absolutely capitalize on what's happening right now.
And do you think they're capable now of really staying on message? Because if I was whispering in candidates' ear, I would be like this: just talk about the economy. Right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, right. Because Trump's not.
Stay away from everything else. If you're at a rally, just say, look, I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're an independent. I don't care if you're a Democrat. What I care about is you're paying $4 a gallon at the pump. What I care about is you're paying more for your groceries. What I care about, you don't even have to make it partisan. You don't even have to talk about Trump. Just speak to people about their kitchen table issues and say, together, we're going to fix this stuff. Like, You would think it's really easy this time. I mean, James Carville said it 34 years ago. It's the economy,
Yes.
stupid. And we've seen time
Yes.
and time again, it is the economy, stupid. This year, it is the economy, stupid, more than any other time, I think, in history. The
Yeah.
Republicans and Donald Trump have given Democrats a gift. Do you think they're
Yeah.
capable of opening that gift and running with it?
Well, of course they are. The question is, can you get Democrats off of the Trump sucks message, which I know they love and it motivates a lot of folks, and onto, but here's our agenda message. And they need an economic agenda to do that. I haven't heard one, just like I haven't heard a plan. What do Democrats want to do about illegal immigration? If they don't want to fund ICE and they don't like what Trump was doing, and I don't either, okay, what's your plan? Because most people still don't like illegal immigration. What's the plan? Like, we need the Democratic agenda, because in a midterm election, especially, you're already going to get the voters who are going to go out. On the far left, they're already going to go out. You need to get the moderates and independents too, and they want an agenda. They don't just want Trump sucks. So that's super, super crucial. And they're at a great time to talk about the economy because Trump isn't. So they could own the conversation and sound like the grownups in the room, talking about the thing that most people care about while Trump is talking about statues and ballrooms. But it's bigger than that. I think Democrats need to do 3 more things. And I hear some doing that. Reclaim the flag. I like the way people like Alyssa Slotkin talk about America and patriotism. They are not willing to concede patriotism to Republicans anymore. And Democrats were willing to do that. Take it back. Take it back. It's yours. This is your country. You can be patriotic too. That's really appealing. And I want more Democrats to do that. The second thing I want them to do is talk about functionality. We are too dysfunctional. Talk about solving problems. Josh Shapiro gets up and says, I'm a get shit done Democrat. That's it. A get shit done Democrat. I fucking love that.
It's great.
The Rahm Emanuels, the tacticians, the people who've been here before. This is your time to shine, guys. Come on out and tell us how you'd solve problems. My ears are open. I'll vote for anyone who wants to make this country functional again. And the third thing, I can't take credit for. A friend of mine said, the way some Democrats, like Ruben Gallego, for example, are talking to people of color, Democratic communities, Hispanic communities, Black communities, about aspirational things. It's really important. He said, Democrats have been talking to Democrats, to voters, for too long about getting them just above the poverty line, right? Like, we're going to sell you on how to just make your life a little bit better. We're going to sell you on student loan relief. We're going to sell you on the minimum wage. What about selling you on becoming a millionaire? What about selling you on the aspirational part of the American dream where you want that $50,000 F-150 truck? We want you to have that. It's not just about being able to pay your electric bill.
Right.
What about more? And he was saying specifically in communities of color, this would be a message that really resonates. And Democrats have been so beholden to sort of the like Occupy Wall Street, wealth is bad, millionaires and billionaires are evil. They've been so tied to that. They've been embarrassed to talk about, no, you want money, right? Don't you want some money? Yeah. I think those 3 things, in addition to, of course, the economy, would really help Democrats not only seal the deal in the midterms, but really start to make a platform as we head to 2028.
Yeah. I got a 4th. Reclaim, and this is straight out of the James Tallarico playbook, reclaim the Bible,
God.
too.
Yes, religion.
Yep.
Yeah, it's tricky. Like Pete Buttigieg does that really well. He speaks that language fluently. It's not a put on. It can be a little alienating nationally. You got to know where you're doing that. That works for James Tallarico in Texas. Doesn't work for James Tallarico in New York City.
Right.
You should always be authentic, Al Gore. But reclaiming religion is, I think helpful, but it's helpful some places.
Yeah. Great conversation, as always, S.E. Come back again
Always. I
soon.
love talking to you.
All righty. Bye, S.E.
People
bye,
bye.
Al. Take care.
Bye.
This episode was produced and edited by me, Andy Ostroy. It was co-produced by Maddie Rosenberg and Jen Hammoud for Radio Free Rhinecliff, with additional editing by Maddie Rosenberg, music by Andrew Hollander, and graphic design by Cricket Langell. And with a special thanks to our sponsor, The Epicurean. Again, thanks for listening. Please rate and review wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to the Backroom with Andy Ostroy YouTube channel, where you can watch full videos of our interviews. See you next time.